Hello, everyone. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Um, Joe, would you please elaborate a little bit on the executive sessions that we've had?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On Saturday, April 25th, the board met in executive session to discuss potential acquisitions of real estate, personnel matters, and potential litigation. Just before this board meeting, the board also met in executive session to discuss litigation matters and personnel matters. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to move forward with the consent agenda as it relates to the minutes and the financials and the reports. I don't believe we need a motion for this at all.
No, Mr. Chairman, it's
No.
consent agenda. It's the consent agenda
Yes.
to accept. So there's be a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Okay. So I will put forward a motion to approve the consent agenda for today's meeting. Do I have a second?
Second,
Okay. Is there any comments?
I have a
Yes.
couple of questions. One is on the engineer's report, Mike. Dutch Country Market Land Development Review. Do you have an idea of when that would come in front of the Planning Commission?
Haley, I believe we said in June, so it'll go to the planning commission meeting in June.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, just reading my notes. For the financials, okay. And then I know I had sent Bill a question, but I was at a track meet, so I didn't get your email back. But one of my questions was about the general highway drainage contracted services, because 89% of the budget has been spent already for the year. So I wasn't sure if that was specific projects. Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yes. Part of what is budgeted this year was the Keene Road culvert, which is actually a carryover from last year. We expected it to be paid out last year. There was a delay because of one of the neighbors and, intervening things. So we were hoping when I did the budget that we would sneak it in at the end of December and still get it in under last year. As it turned out, it didn't come in until March. So that pushes another 126 to 150,000 into this year's budget. So even with that added on to the Hallman Mill Road culvert, which we were planning on, that was already in the works anyway. It's like 300. It'll come out to be 360 to 370,000 total, which is over the budgeted amount, but not, I wouldn't say significantly when you consider that we had to roll over the Keene Road. Plus, the Keene Road project is getting reimbursed by ARPA funds. So those funds will offset it on the revenue side as well.
Okay.
So now if we have any other projects that come in that would fall under contracted culverts and those kind of thing, drainage, that would push it up even higher. But unfortunately, a lot of that stuff you don't know until it happens. So we're trying to get ahead of that kind of thing now. But
okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Is there anything that we're aware of, Bob or Mike, that on the radar that might fall under this as far as, I guess, stormwater management essentially?
We do have a later agenda item 2B. That's a pipe replacement.
Okay.
But other than that, we continue to monitor and kind of react as we can. But last year, if you remember, we did a culvert analysis, so that way we could try to get ahead of it. But there is a pipe replacement later on this agenda. But other than that, I don't foresee anything in the short term.
Okay, thank you both very much.
Okay.
Let's see. One other question on financials. Do you have the percentage that the township is spending on park and recreation related?
Yeah, if you look at the email I gave you, there's a number of the 60% roughly that you had calculated less the fund balance amount.
That's what I, yeah. I
Right,
that out.
but I don't know that that's necessarily a fair way to assess it because you have the whole reason for the fund balance adding it in was to pay for the Independence Park extra that we, to get that accomplished this year. So if you factor both in and take the percentage, the park budget then is around 40, whatever number I put
It's
in
like
there.
41%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
around 41.
those are the two calculations I
And if you
did.
take them both out, if the Independence Park wasn't a project at all this year, it would only be about 4.5% of the overall
Right.
budget. So it's all in how you really want to look at it. I would say to be fair to the park's budget, it would mostly just inflate it because of that, which is why we also had to use fund balance in the first
Yeah.
place.
I think it's a really great statement of the importance of parks and recreation in the township and
Sure.
that we prioritize that for this year. And that's why I was wondering about the percentage. So
Okay.
it is probably 40% then of the
Sure.
budget this year, total expenditures is on parks and recreation. So,
Right. And there are a number of improvements that we may also be doing in and around the complex here that'll be coming out of municipal complex funds. And some of those may
Right.
be, border into the park as well. So.
Right.
But
No,
you
that's
are-
great. Thank you so much,
Sure.
Bill. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
done.
that's good.
Can't hear anything
Zoom is on
online.
mute. She thanks people online or something.
Yeah, I don't know if it's her connection or. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other public comment?
Excuse me, is the ordinance, was that posted
Yes.
in the meeting materials? Okay, thank you.
Katie Moose, I don't know what the ordinance says, but that's why I'm confused. I don't know what Philadelphia does, but so are we opting in or out of this program? Like,
Opting in.
you're opting in, so it allows officers to work and defer their
Correct.
time until,
60 months,
Up to.
up
Up
to
to
60
60.
months.
okay, so, and that's just because of the transition, that's it.
That's it.
And that money accrues interest that goes to the officer.
Yes,
Got it. Thank you.
and it's funded from their pension.
Any other questions? Okay. Yes.
Hi, how are you guys? Sorry, I came in late, so I apologize if
Could you
there.
give us your address,
Yes,
please?
Mary Beth Harmer. I'm a resident at 4 George Washington Way in Spring City in the Washington Square development. I'm also a member of the HOA board for Washington Square. In November, it will mark 10 years since we bought our home in this neighborhood.
Oh, is
This
this
is
about the
just
job
about the
program?
drop program.
Apologize.
No, that's okay.
So I'm sorry if I missed what this was, so.
No, you're good.
It's okay. It's all right.
Grace.
Is there any other questions, comments about the drop program? Okay, I'll move to ask the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just like to thank the board for considering this. Because there's different training that is necessary to have for officers in rank to be considered for the position of chief. This allows for that time for that additional training to take place, which is not available all the time to be able to have that. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. I'm going to move to item B on the agenda. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors approve and authorize the proposal for the Miller Road and Hickory Grove Road stormwater pipe replacement and stormwater improvement in an amount not to exceed $28,800. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Yeah, so the proposal was sent to East Pikeland Township. So I'm assuming there's, and they're paying, I guess, a portion of this cost. So could you maybe give me an overview of, it seems like it's a dual project between the two townships. Am I wrong with that?
Yeah, I think you might be mixing that one with one of the the road program. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that explains it.
So no, this is a pipe replacement for about 100 feet of pipe, 12 inches or 12-inch ductile iron and 15-inch ductile iron, 50 of each. So this is a straight pipe replacement. We went to multiple different groups, got I think 3 or 4 different CoStar proposals, and then this is the lowest one of those.
Okay, that East Pikeland threw me off.
Yeah,
I see.
I can imagine.
I see it.
Sorry.
Kudos for reading everything.
You never know. It's in the fine print. Would
Yeah.
QCI be involved
Always.
in
Yes.
pipe replacement? Okay, I
Mhm.
didn't know if they only did the land development. Okay.
No,
that's all
no.
I
So
had.
they do all things. So even Keene Road and everything else that has been done lately has been all been reviewed and inspected by QCI.
Okay, thank you.
Is this project too new that it doesn't fall under the ARPA reimbursement? It is too new. Okay. All right. Any other comments up here? Okay, I'll open this up for public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, I'll move forward and ask the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving to item C on the agenda. I move that the East Vincent Township Board of Supervisors approve a service invoice for Littles of Zieglersville for the repair of the Public Works John Deere utility tractor in the amount of $10,000, 10,221.20. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, let's discuss it. Is there any Questions about this?
Well, my initial thought was that's a pretty steep bill for
Yeah.
repair. So I was curious, how much does a tractor, this utility tractor cost? Bill. Oh,
I guess this, I'm just gonna take, if you want to hold this, we can and get more information for the next meeting. We can do that. So we can do that. No
yeah,
problem.
I think just
Not a
to
problem.
understand,
Sure, no problem.
relative to the repair cost.
Good question.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Sure.
What,
You haven't?
before we move forward with that, is there anything that this tractor is needed or can't do right now? Because like, are we gonna hold things up significantly if we wait a month or two?
Again, we'll just, if we have to, we'll come back. And if we have to have a special, board to consider a special meeting for approval. But I want to make sure I get accurate information for you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I mean, because I would wonder what's the lifespan once we invest, if it's a quarter of the cost, again, if we
Right.
say it's 40,000, which we'll get confirmation, do we get another 20 years out of it? Does that look-
Most of this equipment, again, depending on, the time we've had this piece of equipment, you will get at least 20 years out of a piece of equipment because we take care of it.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'll open this up for a public comment. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay. So I'll move forward that we are going to, instead of asking the question for approve or disapprove, we're going to table this.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you
Yes.
can table this, but I think
Yes.
that's the preference of the board is to table this to a future date, so it'll be tabled.
Okay, we'll table this then. And,
Thank you.
and please let us know if there is, if something is being held up, any, whatever that might be, repairs or something like that. Okay,
That's
thank
a
you.
good point.
Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is, this is a short agenda, and on the agenda, it does talk about the solicitor's report, manager's report, but I'm going to change things up a little bit. I'm going to move the public comment ahead of those two items on the agenda. So what I'm going to do right now is to open this up for public comment. Is there any general public comment okay, and yeah, yes,
Hello again.
hello.
My name's Mary Beth Farmer. I'm a resident at 4 George Washington Way, Spring City, in the Washington Square development, right down the road. I'm also a member of the HOA board for Washington Square. In November, it will mark 10 years since we bought our home in Washington Square. Despite living here for 10 years, the roads in our development have yet to be completed. While our residents are aware of our ongoing situation, I know we do have new board members, and I doubt that many other EV residents are even aware of our ongoing battle. We purposely have refrained from creating public posts about our situation in order to continue to work collaboratively with the township. But we and our neighborhood are getting frustrated, to be completely frank. By no fault of our own, and for lack of better terms, our residents have been screwed over by the developer and the builder of our neighborhood. The developer, Richard Perry of Charnwood Homes, has failed to complete the necessary projects, including paving, and he is MIA. Therefore, we have not been able to make any progress in a lawsuit against Charnwood Properties. The builder, NVR Properties, and Ryan Homes also did not complete their obligations to finalize our development. In addition, there were significant shortcomings from engineers and inspectors that had previously worked for the township that led to the roads being improperly built in the first place. In order to complete the necessary projects, we are looking at costs of over $1 million. Money that our HOA and our community simply does not have. That includes money to replace paved roads, replace failing sidewalks, replace trees that were improperly planted, and to address the neglected stormwater basin. The estimated cost just for the roads to be at a serviceable level that we will maintain, not even to get dedicated to the township, is at least $500,000, which is, again, funds our HOA does not have. Even if and when we obtain the financial credit held by Meridian Bank and the reserves funds our HOA has, we are still looking of a shortage of at least $150,000 to $200,000. With 134 homes, you can do the math and you can see that that is a very expensive assessment we might be asking of our residents. And given our current costs for everything, the rising cost of everything, the last thing we want to do is burden our residents with a large assessment when they are also currently afraid of being screwed over again with a possible data center being built directly behind us. But that is not why I'm speaking here tonight. Myself and my fellow board members, Camilla Quayle and Alan McGrath, have been working extremely hard to make some movement and to get our roads done. We have started getting initial bids, are working to obtain an engineer to help us manage the project. We just need access to the funds. We had a town hall just about a year ago, and there has been little movement, at least visible movement, that we can share with our community since that meeting. The longer this takes, the more money it's going to cost our residents as costs continue to rise. To be completely honest again, the shortcomings of the previous township employees and engineers have put us in this predicament in the first place. Alan, Camilla, and I have full-time jobs, kids, grandkids, and extremely busy lives. The limited free time we have put in to fight for our community, and it's adding up. We also deal with the day-to-day issues of the HOA, which you can imagine aren't always fun, complaining about grass clippings and mulch, etc. So we're managing a lot. And I don't think it's too much to ask to get some communication and answer to emails that we have sent. Mike is the only person who has taken time to respond to us recently. And he was able to give us information needed so that we can move forward to get additional quote information. We did see through the last, and he did share that the grant for the water basins was being resubmitted, and we greatly appreciate that. And we did see today in reviewing the previous board minutes that application for the grant was approved. So again, we thank you. Moving forward, we are literally asking for some courtesy of responding to our emails, and that if there could be a point person to be able to communicate when there are updates, so we can also share with our very anxious residents on the next steps. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to address this a little bit. You can clap for her. She did a great job, actually.
Speaking in public, so a lot.
What I'd like to do here is, Joe, I know that we've been addressing this and some of it we can't talk about, but could you at least talk a little bit about, where we are at with it?
Sure.
And,
At a
without
very high
having to
level.
disclose anything that
Yep.
we can't disclose.
Absolutely. And we will meet after
Yes.
this is done. We'll sit down and have a conversation with whoever's here from the community and from the board. But at a very high level, we've been working with you to try and figure out kind of the right path forward. Part of our hesitation was not knowing where things were with the litigation that was finally settled, and we wanted to give appropriate space and not tip any hands, so to speak, with respect to grants or what have you, with that litigation, with things were happening between the association and the builder. We're also not really sure where things are with Charnwood. I had thought there was a default judgment at this point.
There was.
I think there is, but I don't think it's been perfected all the way through, and that's something I need to talk with your counsel about. I don't think it's really something I want to talk about here.
I wouldn't understand it anyway, so.
The funds that we believe Meridian has are really in three buckets, and we'll talk about the details after this. The vast majority are in one bucket, meaning a letter of credit that's for a bunch of different things in the community, and we've talked about this. That ranges from roads to plants to stormwater basins. So we're trying to work with your council to make sure that money gets released in the appropriate fashion, but it's not a simple administrative thing. I know some folks think that it is, and it's just a call to the bank. It's not. That money's not the township's money. Technically, it's not the HOA's money. It's really Richard Perry's letter of credit, your Charnwood's letter of credit. We're working with the bank to determine how to get that released. And really what we would like to do is to get that released to you, meaning the HOA, because you can stretch that dollar way further than the township can. We're also looking at the grant opportunities, but what we've uncovered along the way over the last year or so are these other things that keep popping up. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. For example, phase one, the common element parcel, the parcel that is just the common spaces, the roads and things, that's actually owned by the association. On the other side of the street, on the north side of the street, where Washington Boulevard comes in, Duckling's on the corner and kind of goes back into the remainder of the development, that's actually still titled in Charnwood's name. The association doesn't actually own that property yet. It should have owned the property. But for whatever reason, that wasn't completed through the county's records. So we need to get that done. The other thing that we uncovered is that at first we had thought that both Charnwood and NVR Ryan were on the NPDES permit that's still open. And we found out it's just Charnwood. So there's a process that we've explored going through to make sure that the association, if it's willing, can take over that property, which it should as the successor to the declarant, meaning Charnwood, but also to take over that NPDES permit by way of being the owner of the property. So that process has to be worked through too. If we can find a way to find Richard Perry, which has been a challenge over the last, at least since I've been here.
Yeah.
What if we can't find him? Like what?
That's the alternatives I want to talk with you guys about this evening. I think we figured them out. I could talk through them with you, but it's going to take a little bit of time. There's something called a quiet title action that the HOA can go through. We can help the HOA go through that would gain title to that property.
Yeah.
And once you gain title once the HOA gains title to the property, then the NPDES permit can, I believe, be transferred into the name of the HOA because they are the owner. We're trying to work with the conservation district. They want this done as well, to see if there's other options that we have that could be a little quicker, but that's probably going to take longer than we all want. I think the easier thing to do is probably with respect to the bank and trying to get, even though it's a little bit complicated, trying to get the money released. And again, if we can't find them, I think that I have I don't want to talk about it here, but I think I have an option for you that we'll talk about after.
Okay. But again, like if we aren't aware of any of this behind the scenes stuff. So like if we could get some like monthly touch, like
Yeah.
somebody that we can get updated with, so we don't feel that things aren't moving. So at least we can share that with our community. But even based on hearing all this, like we're looking at least another year to 2 years before our roads are paved. Like we need a short-term solution if whether the township can step forward and do it and we pay you back. But like our roads are like I'm having a graduation party and this is not the reason I'm up here, but I'm embarrassed to have people come to my house. Like our roads are not safe. They're unsightly and are falling apart. And we cannot go 2 more years with the state they are in. And we as an HOA can't afford to keep patching things. Like the patching isn't working anymore. So if we're looking at over 2 years before we can get this resolved, we need to come together as and come up with some solutions to help us.
I think your suggestion is a great one about meeting, because, I understand what you had said before, that you sent a lot of emails or the group of you have sent emails and you haven't heard anything back. I think at this point, and there's probably some good reasons why they didn't respond to you. I think it might be having some meetings and touch points, and then we could
We're
give
gonna-
regular updates.
Yeah, we're going to
that would
talk,
be appreciated.
we'll talk, like I said, right after this. However, on our goal, at least Mike and my goal for you is not another 2 years for the roads.
Thank you.
Okay, that's
Might be moving before I even see roads in my neighborhood. Like
it's going to be a little dependent upon kind of what funds that, what assessments are raised and kind of also what the bank is willing to do. But I think we can, at least have the opportunity to look at a fall. That's the goal, is to look at the fall before the asphalt plants close. Okay.
So and we're
We're going to meet we're going to touch
Okay.
base right after this.
And
As
you-
soon
and
as you adjourn,
Yes.
we'll touch base.
Okay.
thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you very much for bringing your
Thank you.
concerns. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, just to respond a little bit to this. I'm not sure what the history and that is, when I started here, and again, I'm not patting myself on the back for this at all, so don't take it that way. But when I started in, fall of 2023, your development and Magnolia Reserve were set to be approved for final paving and final closeout, which is just very obvious to me that those were both a nightmare, both of those developments, how they even got to that point. For your particular development, we got involved. I know we've had numerous meetings in the process. Not sure what happened the previous 7.5 years prior to what happened. But I know that yeah, as you had specified, there were problems with previous inspections done, engineers, legal people that were willing to go ahead and approve this. But in that 2.5 years here, we've been working to come up with some resolutions, and the township has spent almost $40,000 of township funds to try to help, get your issues resolved, but also continue to be there working with you until there's some resolution here, because it's not an easy fix, as I'm sure you know. Not sure what standards these things were built to, but they're problematic. So I know the solicitor's looking at me. I shouldn't keep my mouth shut, but the issue is they're real problems that we have to look to resolve for you. So we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I would just add on the emails, I am the newer supervisor, so as I said to Bob, I'm coming in cold on this, but as soon as we started seeing the emails came in over the weekend and Monday, we were all dialoguing on what are we doing, and Joe is getting his investigation done, so we would be prepared to address and have some meaningful response to you. And then, as Joe said, following on the meeting, getting your folks together. So we did take it, and we wanted to run that down as quickly as we could. So I thank you for being here.
Thank you. Steve, go ahead.
Hi, Steve Hacker, 881 Brown Drive. So I was in Montana last week, and I start getting not phone calls, but emails and texts about the smell of plastic and rubber in my neighborhood, asking me if I can see the smoke myself coming from Penhurst. Now, obviously, I wasn't there. I had a house sitter there. If there was anything toxic in the air, I'm more upset that she might have been exposed than if I had been there myself. But people said that they smelled, what smelled like toxic fumes, and there's pictures of smoke coming out of Penhurst, wafting towards the Veteran Center. So, who from the township wants to explain to me what was happening there and what you're going to do about it?
Okay.
I just want to apologize in advance if I have to cough through this. But our building code official and our police and public works were out there. It was the first night was on Tuesday, the 28th. Our police went out there and observed what was, the burning that was going on. And no plastic was observed to be being burned at that time. On Wednesday, the 29th, the building code official and our public works director went out there and did a site inspection. And previous to that, to them going out, it was around 1:00. A cease and desist was issued to Penhurst, to the owner by our building code official. And that was for section, 7103 of our township code, because there was smoke going into neighboring properties and, the open burning, which is not permitted. So they went out and did the site inspection. There was no plastic or hazardous materials being burned. It was wood and landscape brush.
Please don't, no yelling.
It was wood and landscape materials that were being burnt.
Well, I only know what people told me, because obviously I was out,
Understood.
I was away, but people said they clearly smelled what was either rubber or plastic burn. You know what it smells like when it's burning.
Right.
It's like these guys just think they can do whatever they want.
And then I just want to add too, following that, the building code official spoke again with the property owner, and everything else that they were planning to burn is being removed in dumpsters. And then we also had a discussion with the DEP air quality, and we gave them the summary of everything that happened as well.
Okay, well, that's it from me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Haley.
So I'm going to continue with that. Cindy Ramsey, 116 Penhurst Road. Did you find out about the dump trucks that came through at 9:30 last night that were most likely from Penhurst?
The police department went out and they looked at it. They found no trucks that were there. They did find.
They came down my street. I was sitting there watching TV, went
They
right
did.
by me.
They did find that the gates were locked at Penhurst, so there was no trucks that would have appeared to have gone in that site. And nothing at PA American Water, so not sure if those trucks were driving through or what was taking place there.
Yeah. Well, they were noisy. It made me figure that, and who's going to be watching to make sure that, You checking every day to make sure that they're not down there being non-good neighbors? Because they promised they were going to be good neighbors. You know, because Tuesday night I came home and I smelled it. Going to my front door, I thought, gee, what are my neighbors burning? Never even thought about it being Penhurst.
Hmm.
And I found out the next day. And, you know, why are we allowing this? Why are we allowing these people to harm us and get away with it? Who's on top of this? Because somebody certainly needs to be, besides us who live there, that have to report everything. You know, if you know they're not doing their job and doing what they're supposed to and paying attention to the laws, why isn't somebody down there doing something about it? Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Did
Sure.
they submit a permit initially to burn anything? Okay, so how would the township be notified that they were then burning something? What's that? Is there a process for that?
Not until we would know that there was smoke, but then as soon as it was reported, the township did respond. And what they were burning was pallets and scrub brush that was down there. So,
Okay,
correct.
and then the cease and desist. Okay. So sort of the process is, if I see my neighbor doing something that they shouldn't be doing, I'm probably either talking to them or calling the township.
Yeah, that's fine. And if anybody says there was plastics being burned or rubber, we need specific facts. That's the case that we can report to DEP than just supposition.
Or will the DEP are they coming out to do an investigation, or what's that next step?
The DEP is doing their own investigation, and that's why we had relayed our summary of findings to them as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
We also pulled samples of material there that we're in the process of sending, getting tested. So we'll have those results, and as soon as we have them, we will post them to the website.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Yes, Senator Muth.
Katie Muth, Emerald Court. I'll give these to you all. I don't have. Google Drive. I'm going to dispute the majority of what was just said, and that is not because it's a matter of opinion, but rather a matter of drone footage showing differently than what you're describing. So I'm not sure what the process is, other than the township's ordinance says that burning is prohibited. And if someone went down there and looked and said that there was just shrubs and pallets, that is woefully inaccurate. You can zoom in on that footage and see all sorts of building debris from demolition buildings. You can see tires, you can see pipe, you can see bricks. There's plastic wrapping. That's in the burning heap. There's other materials around the site of burning that were in dumpsters. There's a whole section of tilted over porta potties. It's troubling. And so when I received a picture of the smoke, I was eating dinner and I said to Trevor, I said, well, do we have our drone charged? And we did. So I stood on top of the hill from SEVC far enough away, and my hair smelled like burnt rubber the rest of the night. And my eyes were burning. And they were not, I assure you, those photos show what was really a burn pit and then a little mini dozer. There's a tiny dozer on there. If you look, it's not the greatest photo. I can send you the videos. That's a worker in the midst of two active fires, pushing dirt and mulch and I don't even know over top of what's on fire. And so while you can't burn brick down to nothing or building materials, you can burn it to make it smaller and hide it underneath dirt. And that is exactly what the full video show is, this effort to burn materials, push it in a pit, cover it up. And the next day I went back with someone from Physicians from Social Responsibility, which is an organization, nonprofit in Pennsylvania, and asked them to drone because they have a thermal drone. I do not. And a thermal drone can reveal what is still has a heat signal, even if it's not visible to the eye. You could still see that visually that there was fire.
That's the.
Yep, that one is like black and white. I know it's weird, but the really white part is the hot part, if that makes sense. So, what was covered up with dirt was still burning underneath. You just couldn't see it. And then the additional flames that you could see with the naked eye. So, I mean, I think that people are smart enough that live around there that know what the difference between what a campfire smells like and what burning plastic and rubber smells like. And, the DEP has been given this information, and they are, I won't speak to what another resident had a conversation about, but that they can't access the site. And they should be able to do air sampling. And the other thing I really want to point out and emphasize is that those workers were down there moving dirt in 2 active fires of building materials and whatever else on a brownfield, excavating dirt and lighting things on fire. So, I mean, again, I don't know if it just got dark, like at dusk time, that the fire chief and the police chief couldn't see what was being burned down there, but there's dumpsters all around full of everything but shrubs and pallets. So again, I can send you the Google Drive link that has the video footage from both days, Tuesday evening. And then Wednesday, I think it was about 12:30-ish in the afternoon that the thermal drone went up.
Yeah, the one thing I'm looking at your pictures here, and if it was a tire fire, they were.
I'm not saying the entire thing burning is fire. It's like Where's Waldo, Craig. You can zoom in and find all the little objects that are in the puzzle, and there were tires.
Right. Well, the thing is, I see the white smoke here, which would indicate maybe not tires. But then when you showed this one here where it's still burning and it's underground, then that suggests that there could be something really flammable down there that will continue to keep burning even if ground is over top of it, which could be tires. So that is a concern.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I gave you the picture of the actual tire zoom in, but I will send you all the footage and you.
Yes, if you could send it to
Okay,
us.
yep, I
We'll take a
happily
look at
will.
it.
And I did send Bob some of this the night of, because I was the one that called 911, because what it looked like from the top of the hill was like, if you didn't know what was there and you were driving down to the veterans home, it looked like a giant fire in the woods. And it has not rained. So I don't know who was told that someone gave them permission to do that, but like, that's a whole other problem. So if that fire would have gotten out of control, that would have been terrible. I mean, that plume of smoke was right over the Veterans Center in addition to all the woods around it. I mean, in the trail. So again, I didn't hear about it until 2 days, I think, into the smell that had been reported, or people had, noticed it that live nearby. But I just want to bring that up, that, then you have workers down there working for Pennhurst that probably have no idea that they're bulldozing God knows what, building rubble with what in it. Like, I mean, I don't know who subjects their workers to that kind of toxic, like, air. Like, that's just horrible. So I think that I don't know how this all transpired, but I do know that the fire truck was called off, and I was sitting at the top of the hill, and both the police and the fire department SUV got in the gate and went back there. No fire truck. Even though the call was, there's a fire in the woods. So the fire truck was called off according to the dispatch records. So again, if that was still burning overnight and that fire would have spread, I mean, I don't know what the fine, I think I read the ordinance is $1,000 or something. I can't remember, for this township. Is that right? Oh, up to, okay. So are they getting a fine? Like, what, I mean, I just think it's a blatant disrespect for every single person that lives in this area to just burn a bunch of trash and expect to what, just get away with it? Right? Like, I mean, that was my thought. I mean, It's more expensive to properly dispose of it, right?
It would be, yes.
Yeah.
It'd be easier to burn and wait for there to be rain so you can hide it a little bit.
To
Yes,
make a little burn pit and bulldoze over it.
yes.
That same soil, it goes to the water table. And so I don't know, who took soil samples, but there's a whole, like, what is the chain of custody? Like, who took the samples that you said were taken, and what lab were they sent to, and what did you test for?
Well, we'll definitely look into this, right? So you're gonna send us the links and we'll look at the videos and then,
But so do we know, we don't know
I
anything
need a
about,
postmortem for sure,
yeah,
a step by step and all the details.
you gotta let the staff have enough time to be able to evaluate it. So
so no one told you
About what?
that this happened and that
Yes,
there
I
were
was here at Parks and Rec when you texted Bob.
Okay, and
So
so,
I do look at Facebook, so I'm like, oh, people are reporting smells.
right,
So
right,
yeah,
right.
so right away, we're trying to figure out what is actually going on.
So we don't know who collected the sample.
I think Bob, you'll
we
find
do.
out.
Wait till you're
Yeah.
done, and then I'll answer everything at the end.
Anyway, I would like a full postmortem on all
Yeah.
the steps that happened. And no, I don't think we can speak to the actions of the landowner, but we should do something about it. We
True.
can't say what's in his brain that he would think that that was
Well,
okay.
clearly he doesn't, lives here and doesn't care, right? He's not breathing that air. What does he
Right,
care?
so, we have to address that for sure.
Yeah, and it could be staff acting without approval, but otherwise he's still responsible.
Correct.
And so then the chain of custody procedure, the sample, who took it, the lab. What contaminants are being tested for? Because that's like a very specific process. Like,
Well, like what I'm saying is we'll get back.
but
to-
you can't say that you took a soil sample and not answer those questions, and it's an invalid sample.
I'll answer it when you're done.
Yeah.
On the center, when you're done.
Okay.
Are you finished with your public comment?
I think so. I would like to be able to ask questions based on the response of the questions that are not being answered.
Oh, we said we'd answer.
Okay, so what lab did they go to? What soil sample? Who took the sample? What contaminants are tested for? Why is this so hard? So nothing was done. Is that the answer?
You want to,
Well, that's what I said, so.
do we need to follow up after the fact? Because
We're already doing that, so.
So we can't know, the public can't know where these samples were taken to?
The public will know, so. I mean, I didn't think this was a back and forth with you, back and forth.
You just said, just answer the question, so I'm asking you to answer my
You're
questions.
still waiting at the podium, so I guess when you go sit down, then you come back up for that, I don't know.
Okay, so I'll
I don't
repeat
know.
my question. So
Well-
I've asked you these in email too, Bob. So who collected the sample? What is the chain of custody procedures that were followed? Which laboratory received the sample and what was tested for? And when will the public see these results?
As soon as those results are sent back. I'm gonna go back a lot to the beginning of this here. Excuse, point of order, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
No, point of order, Mr. Chairman. Mr.
Senator-
Chairman, I was
Senator-
just waiting, Mr.
Senator,
Chairman, you have to going to respond, but we,
Try to avoid these
we're yelling, that
meetings.
this isn't,
Just let Bob answer. So Bob, if you could address some of the points.
point of order, I guess, is, how do you? I guess when we first notified about this, the police did respond down there. Our officer went down, there was no plastics, no rubber burning at the time there. The fire chief, responded. He determined there was no need for the fire truck to come down. So that's how that took place. If you're accusing the police department of not doing their job or covering that up, I actually ask people to come forward and put that in, make as a statement. I trust our police department. They are not going to lie. They're not going to cover for anybody. But if you think that's the case, point of order again, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure if everybody can hear or not. People are making noise, yelling, so I just don't want to be distracted. So if that's the case, if you are, please go on record and say that, because I don't take that lightly at all. These are professionals in the firefighting and police business. I was on the phone with the chief too as well. He investigated with his officers too to see what was taking place. I was educated the next day that which I was not aware, I was not here, that the previous owner actually had a mulch factory or production area that was down there that actually took pallets of wood and ground them up and then did the dye or whatever chemicals that were there. So when I'm told that for years they've been doing this of burning pallets at a certain time of year to be able to take care of that. And I believe, and there's a DEP, I believe what they wrote, that there is a process of how to create that. I don't know if the burn pit or whatever that's supposed to take place. I believe that was set out there. Point of order, Mr. Chairman, I don't know what.
We could just.
But I'm not sure of what that process is. I'm just going on based on what people had said. There were soil samples that were taken, and that was taken by our code official. And those are in the process of being sampled. We're also going to require to take additional soil samples in the area. The concern too was raised in regards to a brownfield, that whole area is a brownfield. What I'm told is that the area where this is taking place was where there was a garden that was done for the Pennhurst there, as well as athletic fields that were there, is where that was specifically taken from people who have knowledge of that particular area. So we will be running the full gambit of the test. We got ash that was there, so we should be able to test for what those ashes are. If it's rubber, plastics, whatever, chemicals or whatever that would be in there. So that's my response to this.
Thank you, Bob. Hold on a second.
We are make that aware later. Because we do not want individuals calling and saying, oh, well, this and do that, whatever. There are specific instructions that we have to make sure that if there's action that's going to be to take place in this, that we know how this will go. So thank you.
Yes, please.
Somebody on that?
There was. You want to go? Okay.
So, Cindy Ramsey, Pennhurst Road. So Bob, how many police officers still work for this department that when the asylum was open and they worked for Strine duty and were paid by him?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
I can tell you, Chief Williams, he wasn't a chief then. Dembski was. And I happen to know because I've been down there on those grounds while asylum was happening. And our police department, oh yeah, we'll roll that thing from the street down here for you. They were working for them in their uniforms, but supposedly they were off duty.
Just hold on. Finish your.
Because officers were being paid. Now, what you do off duty, I guess, is okay, but it's for the same gentleman that's getting away with this right now. And I want to make sure people are being honest, because we all know we've all been had before, and we're not ready to be had again. Our eyes are open and we're watching constantly.
Thank you.
I also make sure that the claim is that the police department might be somehow in cahoots with Pennhurst here. That they would. Oh, pardon me? I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth. I'm just asking the question. You ask questions, I ask questions. So that's the part there. So I answered your questions. I answered your point of order again.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
If I may say.
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey is stating as fact that is Not completely correct. We have an off-duty detail. They pay the township our overtime rate. So it's not that we're working for them. No. So we bill, the township bills him for the extra officers down there for traffic and to move this stuff.
Chief Williams,
Do you see what I'm saying?
Chief
It's not,
Williams.
we don't, yes.
Chief. So what happens is there's a request for additional support.
That's correct.
That request comes into the township.
That is
The
correct.
township then provides public health, safety and welfare services in the form of officers that are on site.
That
There is
correct.
no employment between that particular property owner and the officer. What's happening is that particular property owner is reimbursing the township for the cost of the overtime of that officer.
Correct. And that anything that's moved by us for them for traffic is in our operations plan.
And Chief
Which was
Williams.
approved ahead of time.
And Chief, I apologize for interrupting you. That would happen with any other property owner that
It
made
happens
their
with other,
request.
it happens with other details too. That's correct.
Anybody can ask for that detail.
That
when
is
you're
correct.
Having an event. Thank
Correct.
you.
Thank you, Chief.
By an officer when I asked, when I was there.
I can appreciate that, and that's why we're getting it from the chief, so that the actual facts can be stated and everybody's aware of what's happening. Because when you have maybe things that aren't quite all the way true being said, it spirals, and then there's accusations that are made that are completely inaccurate. So again, I've only known Matt a couple of years, Chief Williams a couple of years, but from what I can tell, and I think everybody in this room knows, he has probably the most integrity of any man I've known. So, I think we need to just be aware of what we're saying. So thank you, though. I appreciate the concern. I do.
Yes, please.
I'm gonna try. Okay, first of all, hi, Joanna Tenney, New Street. I just kind of want to say something, like I understand you say you know him, yada, yada, nothing against him. I don't know Chief Williams, seems all right. But I do just kind of want to make a point that I was called for jury duty one time, right? And they said, stand up if you think that a police officer would never tell the truth, blah, blah, blah. Again, not saying that you want it, but people are human, right? So like,
People would stand up too, so they don't have jury duty.
I stood up in truth.
Mhm.
And I was told, sit back down because people are people. And I was not picked for jury duty. I also want to just tell everybody listening online and here that do not call the township if they're burning, call the DEP, because I spoke with the DEP and they said, call us directly. They also said that they can't get in touch with him because they have been for 2 days and they want to be able to get on ground and they can't, besides the time that you guys were with them. I have a whole lot of stuff, man.
Before you go any further,
Yeah, sure.
have them contact us. We'll get them on site. We'll
Who?
get them on site.
The owners of Penhurst?
I'll get them on site. We will drive them on. So if they want to say that I'm trespassing on site, that's fine. We'll get DEP on site.
DEP has to follow certain protocols, and as much as we may want to get them on site, they will not, they have to follow their own protocols. We may be able to get them on site through helping them to contact the owner. I think that information has been provided, but to your point, you're absolutely correct. If anybody smells anything like that, please call the DEP directly. If they are on site when something's happening, at a particular time and can observe something even from offsite, they have a different ability,
Right.
to enter property than if they're seeing something after the fact.
Right. So I'm saying, from what I was told, call them directly because it's,
100%.
one less step in that. I'm sure they will be in contact with you guys after that.
I apologize, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but also call 911 for that purpose as well, because if there is truly an emergency, the first responders will get on there, DEP will get in there.
Mhm.
It's a totally different animal at that point. So,
Right.
Thank you.
And I'm a mile away from Penhurst, right? I smelled the plastic burning, what seemed to be plastic burning. Couldn't open my windows that night. My kids couldn't play outside that night. Was not great. Wanted to ask, did they get a permit for earth disturbance when they knocked down the coal plant from the Chesco Conservation District? Do we know? I know it was in 2023.
Did they?
And is that on file? Okay, cool. All right. Because I'm just confused because I remember at one planning commission meeting, they were like, they can't move dirt without remediation. So like, I'm confused of why they were even allowed to knock down the coal plant at that point, because that puts a lot of people at risk. And was the drop program voted on tonight? Because I missed that part. It was voted on?
Yes.
Okay. I also just want to put another note in with the burning at Penhurst. If you notice in those photos, I'm sure with those photos, if not, I can get you other photos, that there was a fan blowing on it. So you know it wasn't just like brushes and trees and crap. An industrial fan.
Send any pictures you have to the township, please.
Good deal.
And drone footage, et cetera. Thank
Mhm.
you.
You should send it to DEP.
Both.
Oh, I did.
Send it- Yeah,
Both.
I did.
absolutely. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Lastly, I just want to send some thanks, and I'm pissed off that I'm pissed off, and I really should just reevaluate this. But I just want to say thank you for responding to my right to knows and things like that in a timely manner. I really appreciate it. Dana, thank you for caring. There we go. For not saying a denial on my vote for the conditional use hearing. I appreciate that, and I feel like you were the only level-headed person sitting up there. Bob, thanks for standing up for us on that night. I hope that continues. I want to thank the people that clean the bathrooms here. I'd like to thank the people that continue to show up, because I think we still need to. And Mark, even though he's not here, and Craig and Joe, thanks for nothing.
Yes, please.
Bill Fields, 441 Stony Run Road. On a much less contentious note, I'd written a letter or an email to the township on the 16th of April, and I just wanted to get confirmation that everybody had received the email. I know Bob had passed it on, I think, but I wanted to make sure that it got to everybody's mailbox, the supervisors and Joe as well. That you're able to get the email and we're able to see it.
I did receive a hard copy.
Seen a hard copy. Oh, okay. Okay. Then Craig, you hadn't seen it, or
I don't recall if I have seen it or not.
okay. Bob, could he reach any?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Yeah, and if there's any questions on it or something, just feel free to reach out.
Get back to you,
Yeah,
definitely.
we will. Thank you,
Okay,
Bill.
Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, yes.
Larry Shank, Shady Lane. Did a lot of debating on whether I wanted to do this tonight or not. I think it was kind of clear after the conditional use meeting that I was disappointed. I really couldn't understand why I didn't get status, and I'm not asking for answers tonight. I'm not trying to put anybody in a position that would in any way damage the proceedings. There's certain things I'm not really comfortable talking about in my life. But here we go. You guys like the Eagles?
What's in the bag?
You know what that is?
Why?
It's a CPAP machine,
Okay,
right? It's for sleep apnea.
okay.
It's my CPAP machine. I was diagnosed 2011. So what's that, 15 years ago? The reason I bring up the Eagles is Reggie White died of a heart attack. Eagles legend Reggie White died of a heart attack on his death certificate, one of the contributing causes was sleep apnea. His family went and formed a foundation, the Reggie White Foundation, to provide CPAP and sleep disturbance care for people who can't afford it, because it was a large contributing factor to the death of Reggie White. Some of the things that sleep disturbances and sleep deprivation causes: coronary artery disease, diabetes, stroke, anxiety, depression, and a whole bunch of different things. This has all been proven by Centers for Disease Control. Noise and sound has actually been identified by the World Health Organization as a major issue for human health. Noise and sound and music have been actually used throughout human history as a form of torture. Guantanamo Bay, the Hanoi Hilton in Vietnam, because it does really bad things to the human body. Some before and after pictures. December 18th, 2013. This is my heart. Really hard to tell, but that's my left anterior descending artery that is called the Widowmaker because it provides 50% of the blood to the human body.
Larry, where are you going with this?
I have serious health issues. In addition to that, in 2016, open heart surgery.
Okay.
I don't understand why I didn't get party status. I don't know if it was because I wasn't believed, because I didn't put or state in public my health conditions when I was asked. I don't know if it was the distance that I put on my application, but I don't lie. I don't exaggerate. And I'm just really disappointed. I will go forward using my knowledge and my voice in other ways to help the community and to help the effort. But I will be impacted if that gets built. So thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
Is there any other public guests?
Trevor Moose, 316 Emerald Court. So I just have a few comments about Magnolia Reserve. So I've sent a few emails, and I haven't gotten a lot of great responses recently. So, and I do want to say I appreciate. I think there's a lot of work that's been that's gone into fixing all the issues that Lennar left Magnolia Reserve, and the tree plantings have gone really well so far. But I started to get concerned on Friday. So I know, and the Rockwell group has done a remarkable job. They did mark the rear trees in the rear of the lots. And then on Friday, I started to notice they were taking those tags off the trees. And that was a little bit concerning to me because I'm like, why would you spend the time to put tags on trees and then take them off? So I sent an email. I started getting a lot of messages from homeowners saying, hey, why are the tags being removed from the trees? No one. So I sent an email Saturday. I got an email from John saying, hey, he was going to talk to some folks, even though it was his people that did it. So it was confusing. Sent some more emails, and I've gotten some emails from John that have been pretty strange. And then I got an email today that was strange. So essentially what happened is John saying that they haven't met with.
Sorry, Trevor. Is this John Arborist?
Yeah, the arborist. Sorry.
Thank you. Just want to clarify.
And he said that there's a sorry, I talked about these people.
Okay.
And he was saying that needs to be a meeting between Lennar and the township about these trees. But I asked him, like, okay, well, if there hasn't been a meeting yet, which I don't know why there needs to be a meeting. Those trees have already been agreed upon. They're on the punch list to be replaced. The ones that were identified. Mm-hmm. But if there hasn't been a meeting, then why would you remove the tags? And I would like an answer to that. I don't have an answer. Because those trees, I went back to the recording notes on the subdivision plan, and they're noted in category A. They're category A plantings, and those plantings in the recording notes, it says that all of the plantings, it doesn't differentiate between, street trees, road trees, whatever. They all are under that maintenance period. So I guess that's my question.
I think Mike's probably been out there more than anyone else.
So I will tell you the distinction between trees is that those trees were not escrowed and not part of their performance bond.
Correct.
So that's what the trees that were tagged and then the tags removed were the ones that were your on-lot trees, like you said, section A. And those were not part of the escrow or bond. They escrowed, they originally punch listed them. And then the question was whether or not those had a different warranty period than the rest of the trees and whether or not that warranty period had removed. I'm not sure why the tags were removed from the trees, but that is the question relying around those trees.
But if they're not, just to be clear, and I understand what you're saying, we did talk about that back in December here. But if you look at the recording notes, the recording notes say all trees, all plantings are under the maintenance period, the 18-month maintenance period after the community is dedicated. So that hasn't happened yet. So, and going back to Washington Square here, you give Lennar an inch, they're going to take a mile. And I also asked a question about the cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sac area was it's a travesty. I mean, there's rocks, there's not a single blade of grass. That area was supposed to be cleared, graded, topsoil, there's gravel. So on Saturday, I started to notice that they were putting like 50 trees back there. And so I emailed and I said, hey, look, before they plant 50 trees in this open space area, why didn't they? Because now, I mean, it's near impossible to go through and do what they need to do to clear that area because they didn't clear the gravel. They did not put topsoil. And so I'm a little bit frustrated and I'll let you know why, because these are the areas that really out of any of the punch list items, to me, it's the easiest, right? Planting trees should be pretty easy. Apparently we all know that is not the case. Scraping down some of the gravel and putting topsoil down, seed and straw should be easy. My concern is that out of all the punch list items, these are the most visible things. So if we let Lennar get away with some stuff like this, what are they going to do when they say they fixed the sewer or they're really going to put we already know the roads have, waves up and down. So we can't let them get away with things that are super visible and easy to see. I mean, someone can see the dead tree in their backyard. We need to hold them accountable so we can be sure that when they do the sidewalks, the stormwater systems, the basins, the roads, all those things, that they're done appropriately. So I think that was my concern, is it was a red flag because I started getting all these questions from people like, hey, like what's going on with these trees? And the plantings that they've done so far have been great. And I think John's done a great job, but it was just like no one could give me an answer as to like, okay, what's going on now with these tags? So
and that's the thing with the tags is that it's one or the other. No, but I will just to kind of address everything. Sewer, we videotaped it. So we videotaped it multiple times after they've approved it. Then it was videotaped again after they said that it was completed. We didn't take their word for it. We went and videotaped it. HRG day. So that how we address that. In terms of the cul-de-sac and so on, I think it's just maybe we might even disagree a little bit on it, or I would rather them put the trees in first before they rake out all the rock. And that's because by the time they put the topsoil in and they do all that, then they're going to trape over that topsoil to put the trees in. So I would have, in an order of operations, preferred them to put the trees in first. The reason these trees went in is because they bought them by the truckload. And there were extras on the truck. So there were extras on the truck. So they were like, well, we have these trees. They're good trees. Let's put them in. So it's as simple as that. That's why the extra trees went into that open space. But just in order of operations, I would have preferred them to do the trees. I understand where you're coming from, but I talked to them today. They are going to till that area. They are going to rock hound it. And then they are going to bring in topsoil from a different location and topsoil it all over.
And seed straw. the whole
Yeah,
deal.
that
Okay.
whole thing. But same thing, if they don't till it, then we're just putting a good layer of soil on a bad layer, right? So
Right.
they have to go through those processes and either QCI will be there, John's group will be there, we'll all be there to make sure. And that's what we've done. You know, I think we've responded pretty well to, you know, whatever comes.
Yeah, it just, well, and to be fair, like, you know, I've dealt with this since I moved in 23 and then got involved in 24. And like I said, you all have been very helpful, but when I kept getting like half responses or no responses on the question I was asking specifically around
Right.
the rear trees. Because at the end of the day, I mean, even if it's a non-bonded tree, it's still on the recorded subdivision plan as a tree under warranty. And you have to understand, I mean, I'm just going to tell you, Lennar and their warranty process, it's complete bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, Craig, but I mean, it is.
No,
They send you through a warranty process through AAA, which AAA is a Ponzi scheme, and the people that work for AAA, it's a continued Ponzi scheme. I mean, Joe knows this. I'm sure, you know, it's a joke. So all I'm saying is with trees, and, you know, I hope they're listening, but they're on the recorded subdivision plan. Even if it's a non-bonded tree, it's still the responsibility for them to have planted the tree appropriately and to warranty the tree. The trees are still warranted, even though if it's held in a financial security or not. So we need to hold them to that, because at the end of the day, if my neighbor, and people have done this, people have actually contacted them to replace these trees and they've denied it. And they said, we're not replacing it, even though it's clearly dead. And then, and just to be clear, if you go into AAA, and I just want you to know how Lennar is, if you go to AAA arbitration and you sit in front of an arbitrator and you say, hey, you know, these things are wrong with, you know, the way the stormwater system in my yard functions, you know what they say? The township approved it.
Yeah.
So that, but I mean, I'm just telling, I'm not blaming you, because none of the people that, well, not all the people that were here were part of that, but
either way,
that is the mentality. So like telling someone to go through a warranty process, you know, ultimately we just have to do what's right for the people that live there, and just tell Lennar, look, it's on the recorded subdivision plan. I don't care if it's bonded or not bonded, it's warranted, you know, address the tree.
We understand. I understand I'm just answering your question. That's
right. No, I know.
And we, you know, we continue to push. I mean, I talked to Lennar this afternoon, trying to understand what was going on about the cul-de-sac and so on. And the basin work, you know, the basin work's supposed to be done pretty quick. And then I know what it's like. I mean, I've heard the horror stories as to what you've gone through. Some of your residents have, you know, dealt with it a ton. So I get that. But what I can say is, yeah, we're not taking the word for anything, right? We're videotaping, we're doing our due diligence. We have people out there watching. And then on top of that, again, I'm more than happy to talk to you more about the trees in the cul-de-sac, but you know, they do seem to have a plan forward, and we're like, that's absolutely unacceptable the way they left it. And even they agree on that, right? So, trees in the rear, we're going to have some more conversations about that. And I understand we can do that.
Yeah. And just, I mean, and you have to understand too, like, I don't know what people, if they need to be emailing you about, I mean, cause I've gotten a lot of emails about trees in the rear, because especially they were tagged.
Right. And now they're not.
And people.
That's a hard thing right there.
Well, yeah. And then, you know, it's pretty easy to see that they're warranted trees, and Lennar's not, you know, so I think the township ultimately, at the end of the day, it was the same landscaping contractor. And, you know, I understand like the shrubs and stuff in the front of the yards, people remove those or whatever it is. But I mean, I really do think you need to, I mean, I'm not dying on just the tree hill. I'm dying on all the hills with, you know, all the issues in the punch list, but we really need to make sure, you know, I don't want, you know, ultimately it's their responsibility to warranty those trees. And so I think that needs to be, make them tell you no, and then say, okay, well, we're not going to give you the money because these are warranted trees. And, you know, before you release a financial security, because I mean, John's email back to me was, you need to start talking to Lennar. Lennar doesn't respond to us. REO doesn't respond to us. So it's ultimately at this point, it's the township. You know what I mean? Like they're the ones, you know, they don't talk to us. They don't want to talk to us, because ultimately all they do is blame the township for approving things. And that's the way it is.
Right. And we've had this discussion before, right? And even if the township approved it, it doesn't release their liability.
Right.
And so it's just a divergent thing that they like to do.
Right.
But no, more than happy to talk more about it. But you know, we are pushing, we are doing what we can do
Do we have a main point of contact to your HOA that we should be?
Pretty
con-
much.
I was.
Are you the president
I think I
or?
talked to you then. That email chain has the whole board on it.
Yeah, we have all of them, yeah.
Okay, so that should be happening because I think some of this is like communication.
Well,
Yeah.
Trump's been like the de facto contact, which.
You get all
which
the
he's-
emails.
She's done a tremendous job on that.
Yeah, and I'm saying from our side, making sure we're getting to them with, hey, this is coming this week, or this is why you're seeing 50 trees over there. And then I was gonna ask on the tracking for the warranty period do we have a mechanism to do that, a spreadsheet, or
Well,
who's doing that?
so the point is that it's till dedication, so the dedication hasn't happened yet, right?
Okay,
So,
and once that happens, who tracks that?
And that
The
would,
typical-
yeah, that would be Lennar. I guess at that point, there's the 18-month. I mean, I probably Lennar and the township or whoever. I mean, you know, and we've communicated to people like, look, you got new trees, water the darn trees. Let's take
Right.
care of the trees. And I don't think now that we know that they were planted correctly. So I think that's the methodology that we're going by. But you know, there's some trees that are clearly, you know, toast.
Right.
So
I just want to make sure there's a tracking mechanism and we know who owns
right.
that tracking.
So
Because
it-
I'm not sure.
It will be part of, nothing will be dedicated. It will come before the board before final dedication takes place. Which I'm sure Trevor and the HOA, they will be here too, as well as a sign off. But if I could just add to the trees, I had talked with John end of last week, in regards to, there was a question about those back trees. And the conversation was in regards to, there was a landscape package that was to be put in. John thought that was part of the landscape package, which it is not. You're right, that is part of the overall plan.
Right.
So they're responsible for those. It's not that individual landscape package. So those are gonna have to be taken care of too, as well as the ones on the path. And the condition of that path is not good at best, to say it lightly. There's a lot of work that has to be done there too. And I don't think we've had a sign off yet on the basins either. So those still aren't draining the way they should be.
And the last thing I'll say before I know I'm taking up a lot of time, but if we have, the other thing I've asked is, and you may know, Mike, I'm not sure, but for some of the other items, so we have sidewalks, we have roads, you know, some of those items, because I'm looking at my watch, it's May.
Right.
You know, obviously we don't want to get into the same cycle where now it's the end of the fall and then the people that do the paving and the asphalt, they've, you know, closed up shop for the year. So, you know, if we can push them to do some of these items concurrently, so they can get the sidewalk guy in there now to start doing the sidewalks and some of the other things. So we're not, you know, kicking the can down the road, because I don't necessarily think, I don't know if they are at this point. I don't really think they are, but I'm just saying, I don't want to get to that point. If we can, they have multiple contractors, so they don't need to rely on the guy that's doing it. Now that all the trees are planted, at least in the front, try to get some of that stuff done. So.
You're exactly right. And so I think we talked about this last time, is that the concrete's gonna have to be done in two phases, because they're gonna shut down your driveways and your sidewalks. So they're gonna do one or the other, so that way you could at least get to your home. And then, but they called today to actually try to reset up another walk with QCI. So it is on their mind. I don't know, I mean, I don't have dates, but they are actually progressing it themselves.
Yeah.
So they're gonna walk it again with QCI and go through it all.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, when you have dates, you have the thread, so we'll, you know,
Yeah.
keep tracking that. Cause you know, I get emails. So, you know, I try to relay what I get to you all, and then I'm trying to do that balancing act. So if we can get dates as soon as they get them to you, get them to us. And then, yeah, when you have an answer, it seems like the rear trees is a fluid situation, but whenever we get that, if you could just let me know so that we can, because also I don't want it to be July and they'd start to plant evergreens, and that's not going to go well. So,
Understood.
you know, sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for everything you're doing, Trevor.
Yes. Next.
Good evening. It's Chris McNeil. I'm just doing a little reminder for Park and Recreation that this Saturday, the development and planting of the sustainable food forest is happening, and we're looking for volunteers. And what? Yes, right, it'll be, oh, sorry. So the food forest is happening right near the picnic pavilion at the community park on the ridge here at the township property. It starts at 10 o'clock, and if you would like your children or you're really interested in gardening and curious about what is permaculture, what's a food forest, it's a way to have sustainable land management and working in what I would call plant communities, from trees that are nut trees down to shrubs, edible food. And it'll be in a it's in a good strategic spot, so that as kids are going and their parents are going down the hill to have sports activities, they're going to go right past the food forest. And it will become a living classroom. And if you're interested in helping us plant it this Saturday, come with your gloves and your boots and clothes that you don't care about too much, so we all can look pretty funky with our gardening attire. And I just wanted to have a little shout out to Senator Katie Muth. You're here. And she is currently under a consideration of a grant that would expand our ability to interpret the site. And I wanted to thank her and Nikki Whitlock for working with us to make that possible. And also to Terry Brett, who was Kimberton Whole Foods. He has contributed significantly to this project as well. And then Yatin, who is the young student from Kimberton Waldorf School, he did a GoFundMe and he's raised money that way, as well as a contribution from the township. But I think it's going to evolve into a really interesting project. And if you don't know, this community park on the ridge, besides just being a recreation center, is evolving into a whole ecologically balanced space for natural resources. And we even have a first order stream to the French Creek here that we'll be spending more attention to. So I just wanted to let you know that something unusual and different is happening. And if you could come and help us, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Christine.
so much.
Hi, Monica.
Hey there, Monica Scriver, Valley Creek Lane. Bob, did you say you met with your traffic group?
Yes,
Can you give us, is there going to be a place where we can read the notes on what you guys discuss?
sure. Actually, we were going to have traffic engineer from Panoni actually present at one of our meetings. So I think at the June meeting, we're gonna try to get that. So they'll present the entire, or all the findings. But I'll see also too, if I get one ahead of time that we can post
Okay.
prior to, so you can ask questions.
I brought traffic up for years now and
Correct.
we need something, a resolution, and I just wanted to keep tabs on that. So about a year ago, the final plans for Jones Motors was approved. And if I understand correctly, one of the agreements coming out of that meeting was that in 6 months, they were going to present a plan for the commercial portion of that property. I don't see that in their projects. So can you post that so we can see what they've recommended?
I think that kind of got folded into that 724 corridor piece that's now part of the 724 corridor study. There was
Massive.
the
724. Go microphone.
It may or may not have been completed. No, it's not completed yet. So that was a planning process. It was a 6-month planning process that they committed to. And at the end of that, there was either going to be a sketch plan provided or a fee in lieu of a sketch plan. I believe they elected to do a fee in lieu with the township administration's blessing. So I think that'll come forward when that fee in lieu would be paid, I believe, around the same time that the plans would be recorded if they move forward, which there's every indication that they will.
The 724 corridor plan.
No, the planning, to be clear, there's a 724 corridor study that's not completed. All joking aside, that's something that's in process. They had a 6-month planning that they had agreed to walk through with townships, staffs, and consultants. At the end of that, there was either going to be a sketch plan, like kind of a concept plan that was presented, or in the alternative, a fee in lieu of that concept plan. I believe what the election was to have a fee in lieu of that concept plan, which will be paid at the time, before they record their actual land development plans.
Okay, so are there notes to these meetings where these decisions were made? Because that seems like something that should have been approved or should have been, I feel like we have a lot going on, but it's like an administrative thing. Like we should know what's happening with this because that was a big issue.
That happened right here and we discussed it in front of everybody publicly.
I don't ever remember
There were no
hearing.
decisions, but there were no, it was a like a global planning exercise, if you will, a very high level planning exercise. There were no decisions made.
And the fee in lieu of hasn't come up yet. That will be presented to the board.
Correct.
For discussion and conversation. That has not been
Correct.
discussed prior to this.
So let's talk. My next question is a 724 corridor study. I've had EAC members, we talked about that, wondering what's happening with that. I've had residents who want to be involved ask me, and I can't give them an update because I don't know what's happening.
We've been sidetracked a little bit with another project that's taking place. So I think we'll be scheduling that sometime in June. So we'll make sure we make the contacts, but also too, we have had conversations to where we're going to open this up to have the public actually participate, not just this committee, have the community involved in all those conversations.
That's great. I know a lot of people are interested in it.
Absolutely.
So are there high level plans already in place for 724 corridor study?
No,
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 we don't have anything. That's what
I haven't seen a thing.
that's why we're
Okay.
beginning that process.
Okay, so we're hearing the sound again. Sunday night, we started hearing the sound and it's even more focused. Before I would describe it as a big whirling fan. Now it's even more, I don't know how to describe it. We called the police. So we're going to keep calling the police, but kind of like with the whole fire incident. I mean, what's going to happen? Are we just going to keep being exposed to this noise? Is anything going to be done?
Maybe if I can answer that, after last week's Parks Board meeting, which I think ended somewhere around 9:30, I got delayed leaving here, the building, till around 11 o'clock. And just so happened that I was driving up and if you know where the concrete plant is at, that's across from the next door to CVS and Wawa and across the street from the self-storage place. There were concrete trucks there operating their, filling the trucks. And I'll be darned that I've been looking, trying to find this noise. That noise is the whirring and a lot of other noise that's coming out of that plant. So we are going to try to get some testing equipment there to see when they're actually operating. But I believe there has been some work that's being done on 422 and 202, which I believe 202, there's a lot of work that's going to be beginning soon. I was stunned at how loud it was from that operation of the concrete plant, which I have to admit, for a while, I'm driving around at night trying to think, where in the world is this noise coming from? Because I can't hear it. Police haven't picked it up. The other night, spun around and
We're right
that
behind that.
That noise was coming out of that plant. So it's one of the options. We're gonna have to try to figure out what we can do, since that's outside the township, what we can do. But everything that's been described, and you've described, I've heard from other people described, that concrete plant was making all those noises. And there were 3 concrete trucks ready to load up. And that was 11 o'clock at night.
Maybe that's what we heard this time, but I'm sure the other noises, because Kurt traced it back to the power plant, I'm sure that noise was, so we have a lot of noises. And so my next request to the board is that we get a noise ordinance in place. Especially after hours, because this is the trouble when you want to put industrial right beside residents, other than the other big black hole of troubles, is that you lose your peace. People have a right to sleep and not be interrupted. That our animals respond to this, so the animals are reacting to it. And I know when something nasty is happening because all the neighborhood dogs go crazy. And so something needs to be done. It looks great on paper, but we're living it. And so there needs to be a noise ordinance in place. I don't believe we have one currently.
So I'm requesting that that is a priority. The second ordinance I'd like to bring up is the natural resources ordinance. And I'm wondering where that is in process of going in front of the board to get passed. There's been a lot of work about that.
So that is most likely going to be coming to the planning commission in either May or June. It was just being worked on
Okay.
by the professionals and reviewed.
Great. So as soon as this month, they could pass it on and it could get approved
Potentially.
next month. Okay, great.
Potentially.
Thank you. Bob, I mentioned purple air monitors and I was wondering, you said that you'd be on board with supporting that.
Yes.
What do you need from me as an EAC member? Do I need to prepare something? I'm having a roadblock with that and Quiet Communities, just trying to reach out to those folks.
I think if it's just a matter of just send something, if you talk to Molly and just have her send something along
Okay.
to us on behalf of the EAC, because I think based on the information from that meeting, absolutely we should look at installing those here in the township.
Okay. I really want to get on that because I think it's important.
Where would they be installed? I'm sorry.
We don't know. That's like, there's a possibility that one could be installed here. We could pick key places, like we could do 2 or 3 monitors. I don't know. I'm kind of paddling here. I'm not.
Okay. No, I hadn't heard of the proposal, so.
We don't have one.
Okay.
I brought it up in the EAC meetings and Bob had attended and was supportive of it.
Okay.
So I'm
great.
just trying to figure out I don't want it to get lost.
Right, no, got it.
Um,
Can I just say something on noise? Because I'm also seeing folks talking about some of this may be coming from one of the industrial businesses in, on that same side where Jones Motors is. So I don't know if we've done any surveying back there or sent the officers out to take a listen in the evening hours. Some folks were commenting that on, I don't know if it was which site, East Vincent Voices probably. One of the companies back there, they thought, because they said it was a consistent like chirping type of sound, so they thought it was like a manufacturing. So Bob, just planting that seed.
You can do that.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, Monica.
sorry, I just have one more note in here. I was taking notes and they're mixed up. So, the whole idea of between the American Water, I don't even know how these residents that live back where the trucks go for American Water and whatever construction trucks, Penhurst is using. I don't know, can you put a cop back there during the night that they could just kind of monitor what's going on, first of all? Because I feel like what they're saying about, you have a resident saying, we saw a dump truck at 9:30 at night, and you know how loud they are. We know they're destructive to the roads. And I feel the same way about the noise. We feel terrible calling because we're like, what's going to happen? So when you have somebody telling you this, it would be great to know that the staff, our police officers could be monitoring or helping us in some way with what's going on there.
Yeah, Monica, we have asked them to go back there at other times, and I think,
I'll ask the
not that
chief.
they would sit back there.
I'll
all
ask them to
time,
put special attention on
Yes.
this.
I think that would
Or-
be a really good idea. And then the final comment I'm going to make tonight is that Kurt and I have been hearing this noise since October. I think we brought it up in December or January, and, we're still dealing with it. It did seem to go away. Now it's coming back. It might be a different noise. I don't know. But and then with the fire, it really makes you pull back. And my last comment is, how is this being monitored and regulated now? Or how is it not being monitored and regulated? And then these big industries come in that we know are going to bring some of the similar harms or worries. How are we going to do it? It's just, I'm not asking, it's not a.
It's rhetorical.
It is, but this is we're carrying a heavy load, and I just wanted to point it out. These are exercises for us. And so if we can't address these, how are we going to deal with what may be coming? Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Sure thing. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, if the board's okay, I'd ask the solicitor if he could begin to prepare an ordinance for sound. And the second one is too, and I want to thank Cindy for this. The hours, the way we look at our ordinance, we allow contractors and businesses to start construction work or that at 5:30 in the morning, which is ridiculous. Most places are 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. So I'd ask if you could prepare that too as well and make that adjustment, because that's crazy in a way, but Cindy, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
This has been brought up before, and I know when we're talking about sometimes farm activities, sometimes one of the issues that we've run into in the past is that sometimes what's considered to be normal farm activities can be going on pretty early in the morning or late at night. And I think that's one of the things we'll have to look at is the type of activity that's going on and what's allowed. So
there would be a carve out for
right.
that.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Bob, I was going to send you an email and I just never finished it. The plant, the Limerick plant was in some sort of shutdown. I have a cousin who works in construction and he was working on the plant. And it seems like he came back with a vengeance because this weekend it was loud. Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, I was out and what I'm hearing, at least at my house, is 100% absolutely the Limerick power plant. And I was going to ask you if you've talked to Dan from Limerick, if they're getting complaints. I've driven down there, I've recorded it. But this, Sunday night, I'm sitting in my family room, windows open, I'm watching TV, and I can hear it 2.25 miles away. So I can't say for sure that that's what everyone else is hearing, but the sound I'm hearing is 100% Limerick Power Station. So I just want to put that out.
No, that's good because I noticed a couple days ago that one of the stacks are not putting steam out or smoke out, and that's typically when they're doing the work. So I will reach out to Limerick tomorrow as well as the power company too as well and see what's going on.
Yeah, my cousin said he was working on the turbine deck, if that means anything.
Okay.
And I also noticed that you were only seeing steam from the one. I do feel kind of weird calling 911, to be honest, on something like that. I know you tell us to do it, but it just from my my background, I'm like, it's not really an emergency. I'm not calling 911.
I know.
So,
but those kind of things though help us though, especially go back to Pico or that it's documented. Here it's just not us saying it or it's documented in the 911 logs. But I understand completely where you're at.
I've used my notepad on my phone.
All right. Thank you. Will do.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Hi, Joanna Tenney, New Street. I wanted to ask what the Jones Motor zoning is. Like, what's the zoning on that?
Right now, I believe it's CMU.
Okay. And that's the same zoning district where there's like a discrepancy on the map versus the
No,
MPC?
no, you brought up, that's the PO and industrial that you
Okay.
raised at the PC meeting
Okay.
I'm sorry, what discrepancy?
between the map and what the zoning's called.
No, I thought you said
The convention.
the Nate. Okay, I thought you said the MPC. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's me. I'm tired.
Okay.
And then just the other things I have to say now that I'm calm is I just have some suggestions for the conditional use hearing. As somebody that has never participated or even watched one or anything, and this is just a suggestion, and I think some other people have had the same concerns, is could we please have the visuals up on the screen? I know it's probably like the first night and it was probably difficult to maybe have that orchestrated at that time. So that everybody could see, what exactly we're viewing, like when you were going over the whole plan, like it would be nice if those were up on the screen. For transparency's sake. And then also, again, just a suggestion. Could you guys maybe go on the stage so that everybody can kind of see kind of what's going on a little bit more? Because it was just, I know there was a lot of people and it was just really hard to see what everything was happening. And then my last suggestion is, could we please not announce a date unless it is absolutely set in stone with the school? That was the second time and it caused a lot of confusion. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris McNeil, Nottingham Drive. In the township code, part one noise, we do have a noise ordinance, but it was put together in 2003. And at that time, I was a supervisor. There was a lot of discussion. It always was that way, but I wanted it not to be at 5:30 in the morning, but I was outvoted 2-1. That happened a lot. But what's interesting is that back then we didn't talk about decibels. We didn't think about noise effects on animals. And a team of people from East Vincent Advocacy, when we were working on the data center, did an awful lot of research on noise. And in our report, there's a lot there that I think would be very helpful if you're going to put together a noise ordinance. The other thing is, I know, Joe, you had talked about when we were in the data center ordinance phase, that there were no ways to measure impacts on animals because of the way that they hear different from human, and that in that ordinance, we just had human noise impacts. But I just happened to have a sister who worked for the National Park Service, who was the head of air quality, had a lot of friends in the National Park Service who work a lot with noise impacts on animals. And I forwarded in that report from EVA all of the ways that the wildlife experts from the National Park Service deal with noise. So it can be dealt with. It's part of an addendum at the end of the report, along with my demolition by neglect ordinance, which I hope that is going to be reviewed shortly and brought forward to the Planning Commission. But I think that there are, we've come a long way about noise since 2003, and definitely the recommendation to have a new updated noise ordinance is really well founded. But there is some research that EVA did, and I'd hope that you could consider some of that information. I think it would be helpful to you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
We have a hand raised. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Want to
go
go
ahead.
them
Go
first?
ahead.
Okay, I just want to follow up on a couple of things that have come up. First of all, Bob, where were you talking about? What's the concrete place that you're talking about? I can't picture where that is.
Where that big billboard is on 23?
Where the Wawa's at, Wawa, CBS, and then across the town, across from
East
the.
Pikeland. Oh, in East Pikeland.
I'm sorry. No, that's Phoenixville, right?
I think
Gotcha.
it's
Okay.
East Pikeland.
All right. Gotcha.
By the old Fisherman Inn.
Okay, I couldn't place
No,
where.
no. Farther down. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's down across from like where Gerhard's Appliance at, the new car wash and Starbucks.
Oh, yeah.
Across the street from
Okay.
there.
All right, I got you now. Okay, and then FYI, Limerick does an outage every year, usually around March, April. My wife was one of the union electricians that used to work on it. She could explain it better than I do, but they do an outage, maintenance outage, switch back and forth between reactors. So that's why you'll see sometimes no steam coming out. I want to ask Joe a question here. Conditional use hearing number 2 coming up. Is there an agenda? Like, do we get an agenda on what's going to be brought up? Like, no, what's going to happen in this hearing? This particular number 2 that's coming up.
So I think we'd announce that there's typically not an agenda that's presented as part of a conditional use hearing because the agenda is the applicant's case in chief. However, in this particular conditional use hearing, and I think we'd announced it pretty clearly at the end of the last hearing and at the beginning of the last hearing.
Yes.
There are 2 threshold issues that are going to be addressed by the applicant that the applicant had stipulated to. One is what are the standards that apply from a zoning perspective, and to then the application of those standards. So we'll send those out to you. You'll get a note from me that indicates, what those things are. But that hearing will be focused on those two threshold issues before anything else.
So they're dealing with what is in zoning right now? Like, is that what?
The bulk and dimensional criteria that actually apply.
Okay, can you say it in more layman's terms?
Which criteria in the zoning code actually apply to this particular application and use?
Okay.
So right now, the applicant has indicated that this use, and I don't want to get too far into the details, right? But the applicant has indicated in their application that they are under a planned, a planned commercial development, or whatever. I'm probably misterming that phrase, but whatever it is under the particular zoning code provision, there are certain of the dimensional criteria that apply. So it's a determination of which criteria actually do apply. The applicant's going to make their argument as to which apply and which do not.
So they're basically pleading their case
on the zoning criteria alone. So not getting into public health, safety, or welfare. It's just the zoning criteria, which zoning criteria actually apply. And if in fact, assuming the board will make a decision on which criteria apply, then it's going to be, all right, well, does the application actually comply with those criteria?
And those things, Joe, would be, can you give examples like height of the buildings?
Yeah,
Would be an
height,
example.
for example, so again, looking at the planned commercial development, there are references to, by way of example, general commercial standards that would apply. Height of building, floor area, the overall impervious cover, things like that.
It's the nuts and bolts.
The nuts and bolts.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, just so we.
Yeah, that, and
It's a good
it's
question.
going to, it's just so, I mean, as a party, as a protestant, just so that you're aware, we're not going to ask for any other testimony beyond those things. So that's what should be prepared at that particular hearing.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Sure.
Thanks, Steve.
The person
And
online.
Steve, if you have more questions about that, just let me know. I'll catch up with you right after. Okay.
Hello, Pam?
Mrs. Hacker?
Hi, can you, okay?
Yes.
Yes.
we can hear you.
All right, thanks. Hey, Joe, this question is for you. In your email, you stated about submitting documents to be added to the binder, which I'm taking, we're going to receive the night of May 21st, correct?
Yes, not to be added to the binder, but rather those are you will each protestant, each party will get a copy of the binder at the hearing on the 21st. In addition, if there are exhibits that any protestant wants to put into the record, we ask that they provide copies of those exhibits for everyone, for all of the parties. So those will not be part of the township's binder. Each individual party will have an opportunity to present their exhibits as they are in their own binder. So for example, we'll probably mark yours as if you had exhibits to present PH 1 through however many you have. But again, for purposes of the hearing that's on the 21st, those exhibits should be limited to the two kind of threshold issues. And again, I'll send an email out to all of the parties so that everybody understands that.
Okay, so just to clarify, we can add documents as this progresses relating and pertaining to the topic for that night's hearing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pam. Is there anyone else that would like to come?
Only because there's people that can't hear you online. It's okay.
Cindy Ramsey, Penhurst Road. So you're going to send us out information about what you're going to be dealing with on those issues on the 21st so that we have time to prepare documents if we wish on those particular things. Is that
So-
correct?
Yeah, so we had already announced it at the last hearing, but I will make it very clear in an email to all the parties that that there are these two threshold issues that need to be addressed. And yes, if there are exhibits that any party wants to present as part of that, call it either defense or opposition to, then yes, then each party will be given an opportunity to present those exhibits.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Joe, isn't it fair to say that even though we've defined the scope, that they can provide other materials outside of that scope if they want to?
We're going to limit it to that particular issue,
Okay.
I think. And we'll get into it at the hearing. If folks want to present additional information, it's up to the board to make that decision at the time.
Right.
But on those two threshold issues, absolutely, if there is material that is pertinent to those things, it should be prepared for that evening.
And Joe, your email is also going to sort of outline expectations, for them and what
Yes.
beyond just preparation, I think there were some other things that you were going to possibly include there to help.
Yes, we'll roll that out to everybody
Participants.
and the only reason I'm hesitating at all is because I want to make sure that everybody gets that information at the same time, all of the parties. Where we try to avoid having conversations with only one party without the other parties knowing what those conversations are about.
You legally can't do that.
Correct.
And Joe, would it be correct to say that people should come if they want to make a public comment?
Yes, in person.
Because we may get to that evening. I'm not sure, but we kind of dealt with this with the Ruth Farm where we were like, come to the meeting, we might get to public comment. I know that can be frustrating, but you want to have your voices heard. It's important to be there.
Correct.
So I would say be there on the 21st.
There will be an opportunity for public comment at the end of the hearing whenever that happens.
Right.
Whenever that.
So,
It's an unknown. That's the challenge.
It is a bit of an unknown. And also with respect to that, we do have kind of unfortunate limitation with the audiovisual equipment that's at the school. It's kind of a one-way communication right now that we're dealing with. So public comment will be really limited to people that are in person.
Katie Muth, I just have a clarifying question from what you just said, because I had sent Bob an email about it, but you answered most of it about the presenting your exhibits, so that can happen throughout. I was just making sure that they didn't all need to be submitted.
No.
That's
Thank you.
correct.
Okay,
Yes.
you answered that
I
part.
mean, think about it. They could
That's
change
what I-
as you're going through it.
Right, that's how I read it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, you might think of something as,
Yeah.
as things are being
In
presented.
response to what might be presented by other,
Correct.
Right.
the applicant and other protestants. So,
So
yeah.
one thing I just wanted some clarity on, and this is not my wheelhouse, is the two threshold issues, and you explained that I wrote down what you said, the board makes a decision which criteria apply.
Could make a decision.
Could,
Yes.
okay, sorry. The other part of that is when you say the zoning criteria and the applicant is describing themselves as a planned commercial development. I'm not going to ask your opinion on that. I'm going to ask you the zoning criteria. Would that also include the performance standards that apply in all zones in the township?
For this particular threshold issue, no.
So the performance standards are not part of this threshold issue.
When you say,
There's
just want to make sure.
performance standards in the zoning that applies to all zones in the you're nodding your, so I just don't remember the number. in front
I
of
don't either, Katie, but it is at the end of the IMU.
Now I understand. Yeah, I just.
But it applies to all zones, but I'm
Right.
just asking, is that part of the determination if those performance standards would be applicable to this? I would say yes, if they apply to all zones in the township, but I don't know how this works.
No. But yes.
Right, because if they apply to
No,
every zone, no
yes.
matter what, yeah, so that
There's
is,
no determination to be made. They apply.
okay, so
Exactly.
that's not one of the things that they would be arguing to not meet.
No, there were very specific threshold issues about which particular bulk and dimensional standards, I'll call them, apply.
So
and
just
design
the size of the
standards.
building.
Bulk, dimensional, and design standards, not the basic, I will call them, standards that apply, the performance standards that apply to every zoning district. That's not what we're talking about.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted
Hope that
to.
clarifies.
No, it did, because you said the criteria and I didn't know
Yeah.
if that, because that is
Question.
part of the criteria. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't misunderstand.
No,
Thank you.
and again, just to be very clear, it's first, which apply, and two, do they comply?
Right, got it. Okay, thank you.
And the consultants did in their review letters address the performance
Yes.
standards
Yes.
and if there were deficiencies. Yep.
Okay, I don't see anyone else with their hands raised online or here, so I'm going to close down public comment unless anyone else wants to say something final here. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to move to the solicitor's report.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yes.
may,
Yes, sure.
I'm going to defer my comments till the next meeting because of the hour that we're at and not holding up the residents from Washington Square to wait much longer. So I will defer my comments until the next meeting.
Thank you.
wanna
I
be
just,
the
I have
same?
one thing that I have to announce. I did, I was asked by, Attorney Calagreco and Attorney, Riper, who are representing Jones Motors, to read this into the record. They had requested that we provide a letter indicating that, they could, delay the posting of financial security until the recording of the plans. The board had already indicated that they did not have a problem with that. The township has the ability to provide, just a written, letter to them indicating that they would in fact be allowed to do that. So I'll just read this, and this is a letter from me to Attorney Calagreco. Per your request, I've advised the Board of Supervisors of East Vincent Township that your client, East Vincent Development Company, LP, continues to diligently pursue the necessary NPDES permit and related WQM permits to commence construction of the township's wastewater treatment plant expansion and required pump station improvements. In addition, I've advised the board that your client continues to work with 3 separate landowners to obtain rights of way and easements necessary to construct required road improvements on West Bridge Street. Under the final land development approval resolution for the residential development best known as Jones Motors Development, these 2 matters are prerequisites that must be addressed before recording of final plans can be completed, and have been made conditions of issuances of NPDES permits for the residential development. Under paragraph 26 of the land development approval resolution, financial security must be posted in 1 year of the date of said resolution unless extended in writing by the township. Please allow this letter to serve as an extension of the date by which financial security for the project must be posted from June 4, 2026 to a date which is contemporaneous with and is a condition of recording of the final plan. Under the approval resolution, the extensions does not need express required board action and may be accomplished administratively. Nevertheless, I raised this request with the board at its regular meeting in April, at which time none of the supervisors voiced any objection to the process outlined herein. I also will read this letter at the public meeting of the board this evening, May 5th, 2026, so that is reflected in the board meeting minutes. If you have any questions, please contact me. So I just wanted to make sure that happened. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
question to the solicitor in regards to what you read. When you say administratively approved, what do you mean by that?
In the approval resolution, it just said that there could be a written confirmation of an extension of time. In other places in that resolution, we had required board approval. So that's what I mean by administratively approved. It didn't need to go through formal board vote and action. Rather, it could be extended because it's just an administrative extension of time. Nothing happens. It's just the posting of financial security. It doesn't impact the timeline of the project or any of the approvals.
Because I know in the statement of the letter that they have there, they have done nothing to work with those residents to try to get those easements. They have relied upon the township to try to get those things done. We've held meetings with the residents. They didn't show.
Yeah.
And just want to make that clear that,
they've actually reached, we'll talk.
Okay.
I can update you on that one.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is we're going to defer further comments from the solicitor and the manager until next meeting. I'm just going to move forward with a motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments?
None.
I guess we've already addressed public comments, so I'll ask all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.